What's good, people? It's your boy Vinny, London Boy Podcast back again. Another special guest in the building. Vince, how you doing, my guy?
All good, man. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Thanks for having me here, using your studio. Let's start all the way from the top. Do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself, what you're about, what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Vince, also known as Solder Fades Online. I'm a barber and hair content creator. I pretty much make guys look and feel their best, in a nutshell.
Oh, wicked. And how long have you been doing it for now?
I've been self-taught as a barber since COVID, so around 6 years, and then content for 4 of those years.
So quite a long time now.
Yeah, it's gone like that though.
Literally. And I think you've done quite well at it.
Right, I've done decent. As long as I'm making a positive impact on guys, then I'm happy.
Yeah, so the topic, men's image. When you hear that, that phrase, what do you think of? Do you just think of hair? Do you think of like the way you dress, the way you compose yourself?
Image is the exterior.
Yeah.
So when we talk about image, we're not talking about the inner here. We're only talking about the exterior. So when we're referring to image, we're referring to your body, essentially.
So image is basically the external part. So what would you say is the most important factor of someone's image?
That's a hard one because image is literally just your first impressions.
Yeah.
It's what, if someone looks at you, the first thing they're seeing is the exterior, but what makes you as a person is your interior.
The interior.
The interior is more important than the exterior. The exterior is just a reflection of the interior. If the interior is positive, it's bright.
Yeah.
The exterior will be.
Be positive.
If the interior is negative, is insecure, your exterior will show it, or it will reveal cracks.
No, that's true. But the funny thing is, right, in society, especially among a lot of young people, it's heavily based on image. In fact, it's all about image. So, like, what do you think of that? Do you think it's a positive thing that, we put so much value into that? Or do you think it's negative, or a bit of both?
It's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think it depends how far they take it. Of course, looking after yourself is a positive. Of course it is. God's given us a body. It's up to us to look after it.
Yeah.
The problem is when you hyperfixate on it, or you become obsessive, or you become insecure. There's no need, man. Like, we're all made unique. So all we can do is use what we've got, treat it as best as we can, not try and compare and look like someone else. Because I think it's comparison. Yeah. Comparison is the thief of joy.
No, that's true.
Of course it is. When you compare, you have to understand you're unique. You can't compare. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Me and you don't look the same.
No.
Which means that I can't compare to you and you can't compare to me.
Of course. And what would you say is the difference between presenting your authentic self versus like a fake image or like a facade?
The facade will always crack. You put a facade under pressure, it will crack. 100%. You question a facade, it will crack. If you're genuine and you're yourself, what have you got to hide? Nothing.
True. Nothing to hide, yeah.
With social media, it's full of masks and full of facade.
Yeah.
Everyone is living the high life. Everyone has the best hair, the best facial features, the best body. But it's a facade. You don't know what they're taking.
Yeah, true.
You don't know their routine.
It's like, obviously I'm heavily into fitness, and over the years it's been exposed like a lot of fake naturals. But that's just one example.
It's sad. It's a sad reality because these influencers don't understand the responsibility they have. It's like what Jesus says. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet lose his own soul?
So, absolutely.
So,
yeah, I can think of a few examples. It's also like, like the finance gurus. They talk about, how much they make every month. And if you buy their course, they'll make the same amount of money, but they don't really talk about the reality of it, of like putting in the hard work.
Of course, and you've got a question. How did they make their money? Have they given you every single step how they made their money? Most cases not, it's generic. I can tell you from when I've had my own business, it's not as straightforward as what they say. It's hard, it's a graft. You're balancing maybe 6 to 7 full-time roles. It's hard, it's definitely hard. It's not as easy as what these finance gurus put out.
How important is, keeping your best image of your authentic self when building a social media brand?
You've got to stay authentic all the time. Otherwise, no point. But then again, it depends on the influencer. Like, if you're just an entertainer, fine. But if you're trying to sell life advice or hair advice or gym advice and you're not yourself, or you're selling stuff that just doesn't work, You've got to question your integrity and your morals.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, people can tell, right?
No, do you know what? A lot of people you can't tell. You know, there's a few people I know who aren't earning a lot of money, but online they're now a multi-millionaire. How's that happen?
How do you balance that as a content creator? You know, like staying grounded to reality versus, you know, pushing a brand, gaining the traction, gaining the business.
I think it's just staying true to yourself. You know, I'm big on balance. Like personally, I don't even like doing socials because I have to go on it to scroll through so much rubbish. I try to be the light in a lot of darkness, but it's hard, man. It is so hard because, you know, these people that do push out the wrong messages, they post like 16 times a day.
Wow.
Even if you're trying to be the light, you are so diluted. So it's hard, man. Like, I'm never going to cross my morals.
I respect that.
Money is money, fame is fame, clout is clout, but your integrity, your morals, your relationship, and your walk with God is another thing. And I'm not willing to jeopardize that for any of those things.
So at what point did you realize then that it's not all about image, it's not all about the followers? Was it when you got the big following, or did you already know it? Did you already have that mindset? Or when was the shift?
It's when I got it. I was earning pretty much what I dreamt of earning when I first started. And I still felt empty. Why is something missing? Why is this not enough? When it should be enough. And I think once you question that, you realize there's a deeper meaning to life. I realized that money, fame, views, image is an illusion. You know, in 20 years' time, we're not going to look like this.
No.
When we die, that money's not coming with us.
No, it's definitely not.
What are we actually living for? Are we living for money? Are we living for image? These things that are temporary?
Yeah.
Or are we going to live for something eternal?
And it's funny you mentioned the difference between money and morals, because the other night I was reading a verse in Matthew, and he talks about, you know, planting seeds based on good morals. You know, God wants you to do that rather than planting seeds based on greed and money. That's what the devil wants you to do.
I mean, why do you think the most evil people in the world are the richest?
They're all money driven and power driven as well.
A lot of them, not all of them. There might be some who are doing very well off the back of helping people. You know, respect. But there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of wicked people in the world who are really rich. And you know, the good ones are often poorer, but blessed are the poor.
Yeah. So at what point then did you want to take religion seriously?
I think people always think that you've got to come to Jesus, but Jesus comes to you.
He does.
You know, like I didn't just think on the spot, oh, let me go turn to my Bible. No, I kept seeing things, quotes on TikTok or whatever, even though I would never even watch Christian content. No. But it would be showing up. And I thought, I agree with that. I agree with that verse. Why have I not taken time to read the Bible, you know? Whenever I felt down or I felt lost, I would go look up influencers or like motivators like David Goggins for quotes. Why am I doing that when I have Jesus?
No, absolutely.
Every single life issue you could be facing is in the Bible.
Yeah, I think I've made the same mistake before. I used to look up to like influencers like for motivation and advice on like fitness and stuff I wanted to do, when they say like the Bible is the best, you know, self-help book you can find, you know.
And this all goes back to what I was saying about influencers having responsibility, because like you said, you were going to these influencers or these motivators when you were feeling down. So how important is it that those influencers give you the right advice? You know, if they're not leading you to God, where are they leading you?
So, how much has your life changed then since you went back to church back in October?
Massively. I mean, I have peace.
So, like, since obviously you realigned your purpose to God, how has your content changed?
It's got harder. Content would be very easy if I played to this world.
Yeah.
If I played to fear-mongering everyone and telling everyone they're not good enough, or
judging,
it'd be very easy. I'd have millions of views, I'd be top of the top. At the end of the day, what you see is what you get with me. You know,
you practice what you preach, right?
I practice what I preach. Like I said, I have a responsibility, I have an audience. Can't lead, demonstrate. It doesn't sit right with me.
There was a quote, I think Tupac said it. He said, if there was no money in the world and, you know, the only way you could get far would be through your morals and your integrity, how rich will you be?
Well, exactly. You know, for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Why are we missing so many real influencers? Influencers that put God first. Influencers that genuinely have the viewer at heart. Not influencers that are so self-indulgent, misinformative, selfish, money-driven. That's why I feel like it's so important as an influencer to be the light. At least when these people are scrolling, they're scrolling across the right videos. They're not scrolling across videos that's going to make them more insecure, more anxious.
So if there was somebody, I don't know, struggling to find their purpose, where should they start?
In terms of actually finding your purpose, you've got to find, what do you actually enjoy doing? What are your hobbies?
Yeah.
Is it cars? Is it football? What careers can you do this in those industries?
And obviously the spin would be doing it in a way that you make a positive impact.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You know, every industry can be made positive. Not every industry. There are some terrible industries, but you know what I'm saying? Helping people. When people come off that app, what value are they getting from you? You take that perspective and you help others, you're going to find purpose, because everyone's purpose is to help someone. Remember what I was saying about nature? Everything in nature gives. So by nature, we're supposed to give. You will find purpose when you give and you serve others. And I always go back to one of my favourite quotes. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. If God did that, who are we to not be doing that?
Do you think there'll ever be a shift in society where people, you know, realign the way they do things, where you're going to see more positive content, where people actually want to help rather than just take?
I think we're going that way, for sure.
Yeah.
The world is looking for people that are real. And this is why I urge people that have an interest in things or really want to start content, go and do it, as long as it's for the right reasons. Social is missing the right influencers.
I'm a strong believer that in order to change your life, you've got to change your values, what you value, right? For example, some people value money, other people value family, you know, we value, you know, religion and prayer. What would you say are your top 3 values that you live by?
You know, I would say God first, others second, and third, I would put myself. And not from a selfish reason. I'm saying that because when Jesus says you've got to love others as yourself, there's an element of, you know, you have to love yourself first. And not loving yourself as an egotistical way. I'm talking about loving yourself as a way of acknowledging that you are already loved. How can you love when you don't know what it feels like to be loved?
Yeah.
You can't. If you realise, or when you realise, that God's love for you is unconditional, you can reflect that love onto others. You're only projecting the love that God has for you onto someone else.
Yeah, and to love yourself, that's where the obviously internal work comes into play, right?
It keeps you grounded.
Grounded.
You know, people always talk to me and say, I would never have thought you're an influencer. And I'm like, what does that mean? I think it's because I'm just a normal guy. I realise I'm flawed.
Yeah,
Everyone is flawed.
Right? Yeah.
I know that I need God. I know that I can't do nothing by myself. So who am I to exalt myself over someone else? I'm no one. What? Because I've got a few followers. That doesn't mean anything. If anything, that means I have a high responsibility to do and say the right things. But if that's what God's will is for me, I will do it.
It's funny you said, because when I first met you, I would have never thought you was an influencer. You were so grounded, down to earth with it, you know.
And in the day, I'm no better than anyone else. I'm no one to be, idolised.
Yeah.
I just help people. The glory is Jesus's. It's not mine.
Yeah, amen to that. That's powerful. And yeah, I'm glad, you know, this message is going to get out to people. They're going to learn, you know, and hopefully, you know, change a life. You know, people can realign the values and realize it's not all about the image, the external. It's all about what's inside and what you believe in.
I hope so as well. Because like I said, social is in a really dark spot for looks, for self-improvement. And I do feel sorry for the younger generation growing up because they're being taught the complete wrong things. You know, they're focusing on bone smashing and making sure their face is symmetrical when it doesn't need to be.
Look smashing, yeah.
Yeah, what are we doing? And I know, obviously, because we're older, we look at it and think that is so stupid. But for this younger generation, again, they're so impressionable. Us influencers, we have a responsibility. And if we're basing that around money and not putting our viewers first, what influences are we putting on our audiences?
All right, Vince, thank you for joining me today. Good speaking with you. And yeah, London Boy Podcast, we're out.